Hi everyone, it's Emily. Welcome back to my homestead and week 8 of the Three Rivers Pantry Challenge. We're starting out this week with a baked chicken Alfredo. Got butter, garlic, and flour in the pan to make a roux. And then we're going to whisk in this milk, and it needs to cook for a little bit so that it can thicken up. While that mixture is thickening up, I'm going to chop up the rest of the leftover chicken from our last roasted chicken so that it's ready to go in the pan when we need it. I'm going to add a little bit of salt and pepper to this and some oregano, Parmesan cheese, and mozzarella cheese. And then I'll get that all mixed together and get the cheese melted and then remove it from the heat. Now we're going to add in that chicken I chopped up and some leftover pasta that my youngest had made herself for a snack the previous week and hadn't finished, and she wanted to be the one to mix it all together. Then we're going to add mozzarella cheese to the top and then pop that into the oven until the cheese has melted and browned a little bit, and we served that with peas and carrots. The next night for dinner, well actually 2 nights later because we ate that Alfredo bake for 2 nights. So 2 nights later we're having breakfast for dinner. I started out with peeling some carrots and then shredding them, and we're going to add them to a buckwheat pancake mix. So we get the mix in there with some milk, olive oil, an egg, the shredded carrots, and some shredded cheddar cheese. Get that all mixed up and get it frying in our pan. Now I'm mincing up some garlic to add to a pan with some olive oil and some leftover onion that we had in the fridge. Then we're going to add a bag of Swiss chard that we had in the freezer, as well as a bag of frozen kale. And we're going to saute this up until it's nice and tender. There it is. Now we're going to do eggs 3 different ways. We were just about out of eggs in the house because we had just been eating a lot of them recently, and we had 2 hard-boiled eggs for one of the kids that I got peeled up, and then we're going to do scrambled eggs for another one of the kids. And finally, the third way we're making eggs tonight is over easy. And here's everything plated up and ready for us to sit down for dinner. Now, I know a couple of the kids' plates don't have much vegetables, but that's okay, the pancakes do. The following night, we did a pretty easy meal with some frozen soup that was in the freezer. We're starting with oyster soup. I've got 2 packages of this soup, and each package is about 2 cups. We'll get that in the pan and heat it up, and then we're also going to have radish top soup that was in the freezer, so the kids can choose between which soup they would rather eat. Honestly, neither of them are any of their favorites, but they're both good soups and they're going to go great with what I'm making with it, which is some grilled cheese sandwiches. When we were in Indiana over the weekend prior to this, I'd bought a loaf of bread, and so we're going to use that bread to make the sandwiches, because at this point I hadn't come up with a bread recipe that was really slicing well and holding together that would hold up to sandwiches. So once we get all of those buttered on one side each, we're going to put the rest of this block of processed cheese. It's like a Velveeta type, but Aldi brand. We're going to divide that up onto the different sandwiches and then get them into the pan. And here's the meal set out on the table, ready for us to enjoy. The next day, my youngest child asked if she could make a bread recipe, and she chose this roll recipe that she found, and they turned out really delicious. They were nice and soft, and we might try this as a hamburger bun recipe in the future, but she had asked if I could come up with something for dinner that we could use these for, and I had some ground beef thawing in the refrigerator, so we decided to make some sliders. But first I'm going to peel up these carrots and get them chopped up so we can have them as a side. I'll get these tossed with some salt and pepper and olive oil. Then they go onto a baking sheet and into the oven. Now to get started on our hamburgers. I'm going to mince up some onion to go in with the meat, and then I'm going to slice up the rest of the onion so it can cook and go on top of our burgers. This is what we call cowboy hamburgers in our family. We add the onion, salt, pepper, an egg, garlic powder, parsley, and freshly crumbled breadcrumbs. You don't want toasted breadcrumbs for this because it just doesn't turn out the same, because the breadcrumbs won't absorb the moisture from the egg and the milk that I'm about to add. So get the milk added in and get this all mixed up. And then since her rolls that she made were so small, we're going to have sliders, so miniature hamburgers. Once that's all mixed up and the pan is hot, I make them into patties. I was able to make 8 patties for the 8 rolls, but I was only able to get 7 in the pan at one time. Once all the patties were in, I added the onion so it could cook down with the burgers. And here are most of them finished. We're going to get those out of the pan and then get the last slider into the pan to cook. And that is dinner for the week. Thank you for watching, and I can't wait to see you in the next video.